and welcome to yet another episode of the Fat Talks here on Smart 24. My name is Lynn Komjisha, and we come your way every other Thursday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. And it is an honor. From Fidelis Leadership Institute, we are honored that you take time, you take to be with us, and you learn lots of things and lots of important aspects in life. We talk about a lot of topics here and there. We look at who is making headlines, and we also look at, especially because we are faithful, available, and teachable, we look out for the leaders who are making a difference in our societies, the leaders who are changing our lives, the leaders who are also being exemplary while at it. Now, before I can introduce our guest of the day, I want to assure you that we at Fidelis Leadership Institute, we are set for you, and we're looking forward to you joining our FAT Leadership Fellowship, and that is by Fidelis Leadership Institute, a 16 weeks program that happens every Saturday. If you're part of this program, it just runs Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., and we have 8 weeks online plus 8 weeks physical class. So you'd rather be here than in your bed. Okay, and on this we tackle issues of personal branding, identifying your purpose, public speaking, cultivating great financial habits, entrepreneurship, and also, among other things, we give you practical tools, networking opportunities, growth, personal growth, I beg your pardon, confidence boost, leadership skills, and so much more. So what are you waiting for? Look out for Fidelis Leadership Institute and join our FAT Fellowship that starts on August the 5th. So you need to be aware, and you need to take part in this wonderful fellowship. So today, we have been speaking sports for a while. Today I'm honored to host one of the people I'm seeing on the sports. I think the face of sports is taking on a new twist. I'm seeing interesting faces. I had a chat the other day with another lawyer who is into sports. Now I'm having another chat with another lawyer who is equally into sports. And guess what? Today we are speaking to none other than Mr. Phillip Munaabi. Most of you have seen him around. He is the chairman of the East African Law Society Sports Law Committee, and he's also part of the ULS, Uganda Law Society Sports Committee. My goodness, so don't worry, we're going to ask him these questions. I have the same questions as you do, and so here we are. We are on Twitter Spaces. We are also on Smart 24. Phil.
Yes, Lynn.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good to have you.
Good to have you too.
So let's just start from really where my head is right now. You're a lawyer, an advocate. Yes, he works with one of those interesting law firms, and it is called, he's actually a partner with Diadem, right? Is that the...
Diadem.
Diadem, my goodness.
You don't read your Bible.
Diadem Advocates. Now, Phil, honestly, who are you? Why are you an advocate and also into sports?
First things first, I'm an advocate, like you said, but I have a niche in sports law. And so as you see the trends are going, the legal fraternity is calling upon specialization in different aspects. But I'm a sports, my interest is into sports law, but I'm also a leader in sports because I'm a boxing promoter with Top Boy Promotions. I work closely with the Uganda Boxing Federation. So it's a twist of what you want and what you are qualified to do. As the norm should be, FAT or Fidelis Leadership Institute is here to groom different personalities into where their leadership abilities and skill drive them. I have personally taken that interest, and I've worked upon my abilities into the field of sports. That's why you see I can easily be selected on the different committees, like the East African Law Society Sports Law Committee, where I'm trying to make sure that we have an East African Sports Law Summit at the end of this year. So that's about it. That's just about it.
Are you into sports? Oh, no. Like basically, do you play any sports?
I'm a boxer, so you don't play around with
no.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So is that why you got interested in anything sports?
I think I got interested in boxing way back, but then it came when I'm a lawyer. But I got interested in boxing because it enhances your performance, which skill you can put into your other leadership areas. It enhances group performance, group collaboration and cohesion. Those are things that I think a leader should have. And once you're into sport, I think it just increases your ability to practice and do the best out of your team and your person.
Wow. And indeed, when he says it brings some sort of teamwork. Today we're trying to understand, because our topic today is the intersection between sports, leadership, and the law. We are also trying to navigate challenges and maximizing opportunities. Now, Phillip, you have been on both in both sectors, in both spaces, and I understand because I've seen you at work. I know what you've done, but the people out there who've joined us might not actually know. Just in your briefly, how do you paint the picture of the sports fraternity in Uganda?
I'll use the words of Magogo, the Federation of Honorable Magogo. The Federation of Football President. He has said before that the sports industry is a multi-billion sector. So we can't just play around with it. There are a lot of legal issues that concern us as lawyers. Things like contracts, IP, and a lot of other sectors that require the input of a lawyer. So the sports fraternity, I believe, is moving in the right direction and is at the right stage right now in Uganda.
Wow, interesting. And so what role have you? I've seen you analyzing quite a number of sports interests and issues. Right now, what is the most important issue on the table in regards to sports?
I think right now, locally here, it's the National Sports Bill that had been sent back to Parliament. The President had made a few remarks, like on the committee, how the board or National Council of Sports Board should be composed. Then he had also looked at the management of national sports facilities, that should be the role of National Council of Sports. So that is one of the burning issues right now. Remember, it's a private members bill, the Magogo bill. So it is a key issue because the bill comes at a time when sports needs direction. It has looked at several aspects like commercialization of sports. So within no time, or before you know it, we shall be reaping from that sector as opposed to the previous times and years.
Right.
Yeah.
And you think it has a future?
It has a future. The future is now, actually. It has why would you be hosting me?
That's a nice one.
Why would you be looking out for me? And look at your topic, navigating through leadership, sports and the law. Like I've told you, I do sports on a personal level. I manage boxers. I do leadership in sports. And the skills I've gotten from there are the skills I apply to my other areas of life. Like if I'm in the law firm where I work, I look at everyone as a team player. If we need to deliver, what is the direction that we need? What are the weaknesses of my different players? How do I put them together to see that we get the goals that we aim for? Yeah.
Wow. So indeed, you're hinting on our topic for the day. Question here would be, how do you see the intersection of sports, leadership, and the law playing out in today's professional sports arena?
I think it's an intersection of things, like you have said, but it also calls for a lot of things. One, at individual level, how do you get into the sport as a person? Are you an athlete? Are you a leader? Then what does it call for? how skilled are you? I'll tell you personally, I have different qualifications in the sports sector. I've studied sports administration with the Uganda Olympic Committee. I've studied the National Technical Officers course, which is a boxing course. I've studied sports arbitration with SEAB Kenya. I've studied sports mediation with Sport Legal Kenya. So it's an issue of having a skill set that you push into the sector to see that you garner the support. And also passion, I think. When I took on one of the matters that brought me to the limelight, it was a legal matter that concerned an athlete who had gotten lost in the Olympic Village, Sechitoleko. No one seemed to take notice of it, or no one seemed to pick interest in it. But I took it on pro bono. I helped him. He got out of sales. So it's just that passion that drives you as a person who wants to lead. And there are opportunities, several of them. I'll tell you, last week I was contacted by, there's a boxer called Zebra Senyange, son to the late Zebra. He had issues with his names, because his names are similar to the names of the father. So he wanted to apply for a certain course, and they were querying the names. He came to me, he had some money, he needed to do a deed poll. So there are those opportunities that come in handy. Yeah.
Right. Very interesting. So the law, leadership, and sports really have a major role to play. But we know that the sports scene is not for every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and especially in our country, it is one of those spheres where people keep thinking, man, there's no money, there's no progress. You know, there's no. The administration is always in trouble. Where is there a future really for the sports industry in Uganda?
This has happened to every sport. While we were growing up, you would hear parents telling you playing pool table, this pool, snooker or billiards is a game for bayaye. They will tell you boxing is a game for bandits. But right now, believe it or not, the sports subsector is attracting too much attention from the corporate world and all sorts of persons in their leadership capacities. I'll tell you, just on last week, I think, this weekend, Madam Fiona Wall, Senior Counsel, was in a sports activity at LDC. Ran for Ubuntu. That's a sports activity. She's a leader. She's an icon. She's a senior counsel. She would have said, no, why should I engage into that? But it's something that attracts you. It works on your personal development. It works on your personal health and mindset. I'll tell you, today's AIDS is depression, mental health.
True.
You get it? Until you get into sport is when you know that you can wear down kilos and tons of thoughts and issues that would disturb you as a leader. So in your free time, despite the biases and the surroundings, you need to pick up a sport. There has been stereotypes. Like men can't play netball, but then men have always played netball. The best coaches are men in netball. Swimming, etc. It's just a bias that we need to overcome.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Phillip, here we have a culture at Fat Talks.
Yes.
We always ask you what's the truth about you and what's the lie about you. Or what's the untruth. So you're going to tell us what is so true about you, and what do people think is not true about you?
Okay.
So it can be 2 or 4, whatever. You tell us.
One truth about me is that I read the Bible, but I know the Bible. Sorry, I don't read the Bible.
You don't read the Bible?
Yeah. But I know the Bible.
Okay.
Maybe you'll ask me how, but I don't read the Bible. That's the truth about me.
No, you're already telling us. We want to do a poll about you.
Want to do a poll?
So you just tell us, and then we shall decide if it is true or not.
Yeah. Then one lie about me is what? One lie about me, I speak 7 languages.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's it. So at the end of this conversation, we shall hear from Phil. He will tell us if he actually speaks 7 languages and which ones. You know, there are quite a number of them. And he says he doesn't read the Bible, but you and I know when we started this conversation, there's something he alluded to. But we shall know as well as we go on this conversation. So know and go to our, social platforms and Paul, let us know. Let us know what you think of Philip's truth or lie. Now, Philip, let's continue in this conversation. What are some of the key challenges that the sports, especially athletes or organizations, face in navigating legal issues? You already hinted on one, and while they're trying to, maintain their leadership course. What are those challenges and how do they?
The biggest challenge I would say is, and I think this is an issue we should address as an institute, proper leadership skill set.
Right.
Many of the administrators in sports have a background in sport. Someone was a footballer, someone was a boxer, someone was a swimmer. So they grow into that sport and become administrators of the sport. So they don't know anything outside the sport itself as athletes. All they know, this is our game. We need to manage it. We need to handle it. So when you talk about issues like transparency, accountability, inclusivity, all this is new to them. So you find that most times they will be at loggerheads with the law. That's why you find them most times in issues of mismanagement of sports funds, clashing with leaders at the different levels. So it's one of the key challenges, if not the most or the biggest challenge in the sports subsector.
Right. They lack proper leadership skills.
Yeah.
And you think this is the major cause of their
that
or is issues?
Yeah, that is the mother of all
the problems,
sub-problems that come in there. Like financial literacy, I'll say. You find that most sportsmen who have succeeded and have made millions of monies in the sport will end up, on the streets. We've had prominent names, people like Ouma the Dream. He made millions of monies in boxing, but when he came back here, he was down. There's that struggle to rise. A person like Moses Gorola, he has been on so many billboards, he has been on so many commercial programs, but then when you look at his liquidity or financial status, it's down. Why? Because there is no training in financial management. Yeah.
Wow. Those are interesting examples. Actually, I was going to ask if you have, if there are other issues that include maybe recent legal cases, perhaps, or controversies, then in the sports world that
there are several.
That highlight the importance of law,
of leadership,
leadership, but also legal understanding.
I'll tell you one of. I've recently handled the Uganda Boxing Federation case. It's of course it's a case in court, but it was in the public domain, where the president is accused of mismanaging about 3.5 million. It was all over. It was in Two Park. This is an issue that would have been handled internally. Because as a sports leader, there are some internal tasks that you need to look at.
Absolutely.
Then there are external social factors that you also need to curb as you go outside. That's one of the issues. Then there's also a burning point. Remember, you're moving towards the Olympics,
yes.
Paris 2024. But then boxing has been banned. The international body that manages boxing has been banned. This is an issue I'm going to discuss later, has been banned. So it means IOC, the International Olympic Committee, has to manage the boxing event at the Olympics. But then the international body is saying we need to be directly involved. But what is the root cause of the issue? It is lack of governance, mismanagement of funds, and intrusion into the game itself.
When you say intrusion, what do you
Intrusion
mean?
into the game. This in the 2016 Olympics, there was quite a number of issues which involved the referees trying to dictate which boxer wins over which. So the IOC stands at an autonomous state.
Right.
Does not want any interference or intrusion, be it government or what. So that's another legal issue that is burning up, which is at international level. It has even been taken to CAS, Court of Arbitration for Sports. Locally, we have also seen in the football field, we've seen so many bans, we've seen so many campaigns on gambling, direct involvement in gambling. So there's a lot of legal issues. There are a lot of legal issues that are burning up in the sports subsector.
Wow. Talking about legal issues in the sports sector, do you think the legal profession, especially in the sports sector, has it evolved over the years, and where could it be headed?
So much. Like I said, most of the sports bodies today are managed by people who are sportsmen.
Yes.
So you cannot tell them of issues like you need a legal department or you need a lawyer. But we are thankful so many federations have come up. They are looking for lawyers to handle their issues. FUFA has a full legal department, which is headed by Dennis Lukambi. And there are so many people getting into the sports law subsector. You know Ivan Ojakol, he was here a few shows ago. Ivan Ojakol, Timothy Kaja, Andrew Luka, Muema, Fred, Kavenge. These are lawyers, prominent and concrete in their understanding of the law, that have taken up direct involvement in the sports sector. So it has evolved, and I will say the leaders and the federation heads are embracing the idea that we need a lawyer to interpret this or handle this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do I need any special skills, for example, to excel in that area?
Yeah, you need skills. Who are you if you don't need skills? Who are you? You're not a magician, my friend.
Right.
You need skills. Why is Fidelis here?
Right.
Teach you skills. So go to Fidelis and tell them, I want to be a leader in the sports subsector. They will design a program for you.
Absolutely. But in your experience, what kind of skills do you think I need, for example?
A lot of skills, but one of the key skills, I think, is personal development. Development. Sports needs a lot of effective communication. Sports needs a lot of result orientation. You should be someone who looks at high performance, someone who looks at your team, and you're able to determine which direction it will take and which result will come out of the trainings, etc. Let me tell you one thing. Many of the people who are involved into sports, into the major sports or the most common sports, are not educated people.
Yes.
Now, how do you handle them to make them understand that this is the direction we need? That's an issue that we grapple with every day. A boxer cannot even sign his name, but he needs a passport. He needs to travel because he's the best on the team. I'll tell you, so many skills. I once had chance to go in the Olympic qualifiers in Senegal.
Right.
When we went there, there was a very big problem. Language barrier.
Yes.
Very big. It's either French or Wolof. Now, I had a team of about 13 boxers and, of course, administrators. But now, it was a time of taking a decision. Do we use translators? But then the locals you're talking to are people who don't understand English.
Yeah.
Now, as a person on the team, I sat back and looked. I went around. I took a day going around around the small town that we had camped into. I had to learn a few wall of words that would make us eat food, know where the hotel is, ask for the market, greet, you get it?
Yeah.
So that is the kind of society you're fighting with.
Right.
It's not like in the other sectors of the law where, for instance, land. If people are fighting over land or estates, you will know they are either Baganda or this. So it's easier to manage such.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, Phil, we know already from what you've told us that the sports leaders sometimes grapple with a number of issues. And what we believe in here at Fidelis Leadership Institute is being ethical while we are, carrying out our leadership roles.
Yeah.
So what ethical challenges, what ethical dilemmas do the sports leaders encounter, and both legally, of course, and morally?
Ethical challenges. There is said to be a lot of corruption, mainly in the team selections. Right now, the national netball team, they selected their team, I think, a week ago. But you find that there will always be complaints of I'm the best in that field or in that number, but then someone who was taken is weaker than me, you get it? So the selection is deemed to be corrupt, which corruption of course spills over. It's an ethical issue. We've heard of issues of molestation, we've had sexual harassment. All these are ethical issues. Yeah.
Right. And what advice would you give them? Because already you've hinted on the challenge of not all of them having gone to school, right? That is a challenge of its own. They lack leadership skills, and already they are tainted with corruption. So in your view, as a legal sports person, what advice do you give them? Do you take them through some training? Do you educate them on some legal matters? How?
The sport that I'm so closely related to is boxing. When we came into boxing, I led the team to do a strategic plan. And one of the issues that we looked at was how to address those issues. We introduced several programs. We one time partnered with USAID to do a health check, compulsory. All boxers were asked to voluntarily come up and do HIV testing, which was a very successful exercise. We did social programs that went up to the ghettos where these clubs are based. So we have tried as much as we can to address these issues in all sorts of ways.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And that, is it going on? Is still going on, or?
Yeah, it's an ongoing issue. It's an ongoing issue. I'll tell you, right now, for an athlete to participate in the Olympics 2024, he or she is required to do a compulsory e-learning program.
Whoa.
Yeah. Now, how do you go about that?
Wow.
It's one of the requirements, compulsory.
Are there any that have undertaken them?
They have to, they have to. Or else you're out. You're out.
Are you not pushing them out? Are you not
You're
pushing
not
talent
pushing them.
out?
This is a requirement of the IOC.
Right.
They have assessed it. You're going to France. You don't know the language. You don't know. You need some basic skills.
Sure.
You need some basic skills. So it's not pushing them out. But I know sportsmen, let me tell you, sportsmen are one of the most intelligent people. Sport is science. You see, like boxing.
I'm told.
You see, like boxing. You don't just throw punches. A punch comes from here to here. It's not from here. You get it? So that is skill set. You get it?
Wow.
Now that is a science. Now just imagine you're in that ring for 3 minutes. You have to guard yourself. You have to fight back. You have to do all sorts of things to win the fight. So it's a science. That's why you see, historically, the most successful boxers, even for Uganda here, were from schools. Justin Juko was from Kako. We had Leo Rabogo from Kasese High. You get it? So many of them were from schools. So many. There's Vicky Biaruhanga who was at Namiryango. So there are so many that they grasp quickly, and it's something that they use to their advantage. Yeah.
Right, interesting, very interesting. We are glad you're joining us on Smart 24. Those of you who've just tuned in, we are live on DSTV. We are all over the place, all over East Africa. So your people in East Africa definitely are watching. But also those of you on our Twitter Spaces, it is good to take time off to join us on our Twitter Spaces. We are looking at a very interesting conversation today, the intersection of sports, leadership, and the law. Navigating challenges and maximizing opportunities that lie in. And our guest this afternoon is Mr. Phillip Munaabi, and he's here trying to tell us a little bit about the sports fraternity, but also how legal. And these days, you're going to meet many law sports. Is that how you said? Legal sports.
You're calling us sports lawyers.
But aren't you?
That's what you're calling us.
Are you not?
Okay.
Are you not?
Okay.
But this is what is happening. And people are taking on sports law. It's very interesting. Back in the days, we used not to hear about these things. But now, it's become interesting. And also, Philip, going to another question on my mind. We look up to many of the sports leaders across the continent, across the world. And we always look up to them. We're always saying, wow, that guy. We want to be that guy. We're always looking forward to what they're doing. But the question is, do they have influence? Does their leadership extend beyond the playing field? Do they impact broader societal issues? Maybe social justice and maybe equality?
They do. If you have looked at the story of... is it Gabriel Selassie of Ethiopia, the athlete? You have seen how he has put up a whole village, modernized the whole village in Ethiopia.
Yes.
They do. So many ambassadors in the different UN organizations. So they do impact on the society. Even here, I've told you, so many corporate entities are coming up to team up with local sports associations. I'll not fear to mention one. Legomac, a law firm in Kampala, is doing a social program with Zebra Boxing Club in Bwaise. So it's a lot. There's a lot of impact. Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, if we are to look at sports leaders still, Phil, this now is in your docket. Contractual agreements, endorsement deals, and other legal arrangements. How do these leaders go about them? And if, for example, like you said, corporate companies are getting interested in the sports fraternity, how do you go about them? Do the sports people, the athletes, do they understand these things?
Now, like you said, it's an evolution and it's evolving. I have a friend called Council Andrew Oluka. He was on a flight going to TZ, so he's seated next to a footballer who had a contract. Contract is in English. The guy doesn't know what to do.
Oh dear.
And the agent is also there. Agent is also not well versed in the language. So Andrew looks through. He overheard their conversation and he asked to look through the contract. He was like, no, I should go with you people. Maybe we can negotiate some terms better. That's how he got into the game. So after the flight, because they were all going to TZ, so he came in to interpret a few sections and negotiate better terms for them. Previously, so many sports personalities have not understood the role of agents, have not understood the role of contracts.
Yes. Today
is in this club, the other day is in this club. I do contracts for Wakiso Giants. Of course, there is still that element of the club owner has to dictate who comes on board. That's why you see the coaches are fired day and night. The footballers are moving, but of recent it has minimized. Footballers are not transiting so much. So there has been a wake of understanding what am I signing on to. We used to hear stories of you have signed all your rights. There are rights that are personal, like image rights, they are personal. So if you're looking at a contract for a player, there are things you need to explain to them outrightly. Yeah.
So that is like you said, it is evolving. Is it seamless? Is it, or is there hurdles in there?
There are hurdles, of course. There are hurdles, of course. You find, for instance, these sponsorship contracts. You'll find that there is breach somehow, but then how do you go about it? I've been advising on there's a certain company like you would sponsor with this type of water, but then in there you're also putting in another type of beverage that you make. You get it?
Yeah.
So, but then the contract was for type X.
Yes.
You get it?
Yes.
So there are those hurdles. But then you see from the content side, you need your content to be broadcast. You don't want to see like you're being so mean. You get it? And the fees are still little. You get it?
Yes.
They are still little. Someone comes to sponsor an event. I'll tell you one of the events I ran, the boxing event, which is a bi-monthly event. You find that the sponsorship package does not even meet half the cost of the event. But the event has to run. You have already entered a contract. So there are still a lot of issues, but we believe that with time, because the corporates are also coming so much on board, we believe that with time, these are things that we shall overcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that you say the corporates are coming. This time around, they are on board, many of them. And over the years, we've not been seeing that kind of support. But now, the more they come on board, I think the better for these sports entities. Now, Phil, for athletes and, of course, aspiring leaders, sports leaders particularly, how can they best navigate legal aspects of their careers? Must I walk in, I'm going to be head of FLI sports, team or whatever?
Of course.
Must I carry myself a lawyer alongside?
Let me tell you, Senior Counsel Fiona Wall is a very sporty person.
Yes.
She'll ask you to take a race with her, a 100-meter race. Will you manage? And then you want to be the leader of FLI sports. So you need to skill.
Absolutely.
You need to skill. If it is physical training, you need to skill. If you're not skilling, then bring on board someone who is skilled to train you, and then you take on the challenge. Yes, sport is lucrative. Sport is interesting. Sport is interesting. Anyone will come to you and say, hey, I saw your video punching the bag. I've also started doing it in the gym. You get it? Because it's interesting.
Yes.
It's lucrative. It's entertaining. So it's an issue that needs to be put on table today and discussed and spread out, because so many people have the interest, but the skill is key.
Talking about interest, the issues of compliance and accountability versus legal and ethical standards, what do you say?
Compliance and accountability. Sports associations have a unique aspect. They are autonomous bodies.
Yes.
But then, with their autonomy, government has, for the previous 5 to 6 years, injected some money as a subvention into their activities. So, like I said, because of the lack of leadership skill sets, more so into administration, you find that there is always a shortfall on accountability, which creates a problem, which problem even affects the athlete down. For instance, if your accounts are queried and funds are not released and you have an activity coming up, like netball, about 3-4 months ago, they couldn't go for the World Cup qualifiers because they had accountability issues. the minister had to intervene to see that they saved the day. You get it? They had not even paid membership to the international body. So there's a lot of need to address these issues.
Wow, wow. You were talking about the Olympics coming up.
Yeah.
And we know that sports is a very huge, I don't want to call it sport because it's already a sport. It's one of those global sensations, if I can say. And but we know that there are unique challenges therein, especially legal-wise. We have international contracts, for example, international transfers, international disputes. In regard to Uganda and our sports and then legal issues, how do we play around that?
One of the biggest sport that does professional transfers and contracts is football. Football has recently introduced an agency exam. I know a lawyer here who has passed that exam, Timothy Kaja. Now, like I said previously, even an agent in football would not understand the issues at hand. You get it? But the involvement now of lawyers into the field is going to open up a floodgate of opportunities. You get it? A floodgate of opportunities for both the athletes and the
leaders.
There's a book called The Done Deal. It's a book that talks of, it's by Daniel Gee. He's a sports lawyer, international sports lawyer. It describes what key elements a contract should involve for a player to move from one club to another. How do you manage the sign-on fees? How much? How is it spread? For instance, you hear a player signed a contract of $100 million and you think the man has pocketed it. No,
yes.
It's spread over 5 years.
What?
You get it? Yeah, it could be spread over 5 years.
You don't get cash.
No. It could have benefits.
Right.
You get it? Now, who signs it?
And it is taxed as well.
You've heard of the footballer who had all contracts and property in his mother's names.
Yes.
You get it? So it's a lot of issues. It's a lot of issues.
Wow. Lots of issues indeed, and like any other industry really across the world. And talking of industries, we know technology has taken the world over. I mean, has taken us by storm, and we are looking at social media, streaming platforms. Let's look at how this is affecting the legal landscape and sports especially. What legal issues should sports leaders be mindful of in this digital era?
Let me tell you one thing, one key thing. Even when you want an iPhone or a set of MacBooks or Dells, latest Dells, it is human beings who decide, who take that decision. It is the leaders.
It's technology.
It's the leaders at Smart 24 who are going to think of
what
latest camera they need.
Yes.
So to me, it's not such a threat. It's not. Yes, people will go to ChatGPT and generate these contracts.
Absolutely.
But we have already had cases against ChatGPT generated contracts. You get it? So the human brain, the human leadership, the human aspect still remains a key element. And this element will drive back to who is the leader, who is the brain behind this organization, who is the brain behind this sport, who is the brain behind this institute or association. It will come back to us. Now, if Fidelis is there throwing flyers, we have a leadership cohort 3, leadership cohort this, and you're seated there silent, yet you're a leader and the person who will take decisions to decide whether to generate an AI contract or to generate a contract legally, it will be upon you. It will be upon you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're still in the game.
We are in the where are we going?
ChatGPT is taking us.
No.
It's taking over.
No, these instruments, Haile Selassie said, technology must be used solely for the welfare of man. So if it is for the welfare, well and good. I mean, are you saying we are going to sit back home and AI takes over so we won't eat? No.
Certainly not.
That's why you need to be unique. That's why you need to be unique.
Acquire those skills.
Exactly.
Yes.
From yesterday, I've been on 3 media outlets. I still have a discussion after this. You get it? Because I have made myself unique in the area of sport and the law. That when you're looking out for someone, you look out for me.
Wow.
You get it? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This actually reminds me, what keeps you going?
What keeps me going?
Or what's your mantra in life?
My mantra. I look up, I'll say, let me use Senior Counsel Fiona's words that she used in one of the talk shows. I up my game. I up my game. I don't look up to someone below me. I know we hold angels unawares, but then I up my game. One notch higher, one notch higher. I mean, Lynn, if I know you as Lynn, holding a Kability phone, I mean, I'm looking up to an iPhone 15. Who has it and who can give me the opportunities? Who can pave way for me? I've been said to be a friend of presidents. And when I look through my contact list, yes, I'm a friend to so many presidents at different levels. If you're president of a football association, you should be my friend. I'll look out for you. If you're president of Uganda Law Society, I'll look out for you and I'll make you my friend. You get it? Because that's how
you up your game.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's how you up your game. So do not just befriend people who are lower than you. Well,
not
you can
necessarily. You
them.
can learn things from them.
Yes.
You can be in their company. But then they also need to learn something from you. What do you give them? You get it? What do you add on to them? And where do you get what you add on to them? That's the question.
Absolutely.
You get it?
Wow.
That's the question.
Where do you get what you add on to them? That's very key. And now as we begin to, come to the end of this conversation, Phillip, because we need to let you go, the recent controversies surrounding athlete rights and representation, what steps can be taken to ensure fair and equitable treatment of athletes within the legal framework?
There are so many parameters that have been set down by the different charters that govern different sports. For instance, the Olympic Charter has a lot of provisions and principles that govern the Olympic sport organizations, which provide broader issues. For instance, there is, have you heard of the anti-doping?
Yes, anti-doping.
You know, doping is a funny thing. Doping, you can be held liable for breaching doping rules. If you're in a village, you're in a sports village, you've been called in Paris, in the sports village, and they call your name at 10:30. At 10:30, if you're supposed to be in the dining room, and you're not there, and they call your name, and you're absent, you have breached the doping rules.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now,
that's interesting.
Now, you need legal advice there and then to address where you have been. But then the doping rules have been set. You get it? For instance, enhancers. What the World Anti-Doping Body has a list of enhancers. You get it? This year, you might find that ginseng, Morondo, is on the list. The other year, it is not.
Oh, it happens?
It happens. These energy drinks that people take, one could have a content of a banned enhancer or content that shouldn't be used. So there are a lot of parameters within which an athlete can be protected legally. Yeah, that is if they have guidance and are trained in that very field.
Perhaps also exposed, wouldn't you say?
And exposed, actually.
Yes.
Exposed, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, Phil, when we look ahead, What do you anticipate is the most pressing legal issues or challenges that sports leaders might encounter looking ahead? Also putting in perspective our sports law coming up.
One thing, okay, two things will happen.
Yeah.
If they pick interest and do what is within the law, the sports bill or act that is coming will be productive to everyone, from the sports associations down to the athletes. For instance, there is an aspect of commercialization in that bill, which caters for IP, broadcast, image rights, etc. Now, you'll find that even entities like Smart TV will tap into this this area and will get income for it, which income will go back and benefit the lowest athlete. You get it?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of issues. But then if they do not adhere to the provisions of the law, there will also be a shortfall on their side. For instance, today different TV stations are looking for content, sports content.
Yes.
Sports content. So if you're a person in a Ludo association, you need to come up with a tournament that you will sell to Smart TV. Smart TV will look for corporate entities to sponsor your games. It also earns something from it, and that will be it. If you don't do that, then you will not tap into this field.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Sports and the law, quite interesting conversation there. But so far, so how long have you been in this, sports and the law?
How long? Since 2018, I'll say 17, 18.
And are you enjoying the ride?
I do. It's not paying, but there.
So all this is pro bono?
I won't say it's pro bono. I mean, there are loyalties. I've done a contract with I've done contracts with between boxing fraternity and Buganda Land Board. The Kabaka donated 10 acres of land to the boxing fraternity, and I was I was in the middle of this negotiation. Whether I'm paid or not, I wasn't paid actually, but I take the pride that I negotiated that contract.
Yeah.
You get it? I take that pride. I'll be moving to Dar es Salaam in 2 weeks' time. I was invited to talk to lawyers, young lawyers, on the opportunities available in the sports law.
Talking about opportunities in sports
now this
law.
is a fully sponsored trip. You get it? Now there are those opportunities that come. You get it? You can't say you're not, because you're not getting paid offhand. I do contracts for footballers. I review contracts, but then at the end of the day you get a reference. You get it? Like I've told you, just last week, I did a deed poll for someone who paid handsomely. You get it? But because they know I'm associated with the sport, they could have looked for another lawyer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Briefly, as we wind up, Phillip, on the opportunities that lie in the sports and the law.
Opportunities, I mean, self-development, self-development. I think that's something that the Institute also emphasizes. Self-development.
Yes.
Personal growth. That is very key, and it's an opportunity that you look up to and nurture yourself. You get it? Then exposure. There is unlimited exposure. In arena or it's play field. There are so many people looking out for you. That is council, lawyer Webikonde, you get it? So there is always that, your counsel for the boxing fraternity, you get it? So there is that exposure. I mean, like I've told you, today, between yesterday and today, I've been on airwaves all over. Even my ex-girlfriends are calling me, I've seen you.
Oh no, Phil, ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
You're first becoming a celebrity.
You get it, yeah.
And,
so there's a lot of exposure.
Right.
To make the matter so serious, there's a lot of exposure, and out of it, you get secondary opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. Personal growth and being out there, networking. And this is some of the things that we focus on at the Fidelis Leadership Institute, because we know the impact these have on your lives eventually and other people around you. Now, Phil, as we wind up again, I'm going to ask you to give us the big reveal. So what is true about you? How many languages do you speak? Are they actually 7, or you just know English?
I only say the truth about me. So,
so all of them are true.
Let me see the
you
poll.
see the poll. So 25% are saying he does not read the Bible, and 75% are saying you speak 7 languages.
Yeah.
So what is true?
Very right, Paul.
Very right.
I don't read the Bible.
But you quote the Bible.
Yeah, how do I quote the Bible? This is something, it's a skill I should give you. When you're into a situation,
okay,
there is always the conscious and subconscious mind. When the two minds speak to you, for instance, you want to go to Kampala, but something is saying, don't go, don't go. That's the ghost of poverty speaking. So
how do you discern?
In such situations, you'll find yourself either looking out for a word that prescribes that. Words. Let me tell you a word that is on my status today. It's very short. I'll read it for you. And this is the word on my status. To make sure that the right word seeds are sown, you don't just reproduce alone. You get it?
You don't.
If I want to sow the right word seeds, for instance, if I want wealth, if I want money, I can't keep it to myself. I'll talk to you. You get it? No, I'm in a fix. I need some money. You get it? I'll have to talk to you. So the right word seeds cannot be reproduced alone. You reproduce with someone. It goes ahead to say, words have a reap when you sow what you have sown. You get it? There is a reap.
Yes, absolutely.
In words,
when you sow
what you have sown. If you have sown wealth, you reap wealth. If you have sown health, in words, you reap health. Then it goes on to say, okay, that's an undetectable spectrum. Sometimes you don't know. But words, what is important now? Words distinct the human from the animal kingdom.
Wow.
You're different from the animal kingdom.
What a way.
Because of the words you speak.
What a way to conclude, Phil. I want to say you're such a philosopher, maybe, yet you don't read the Bible, and we know the Bible has
not all philosophers read the Bible. Nicodemus did not read the Bibles, but he was a good philosopher. So many. There has been so many mystics. Edgar Cayce is a mystic who said words that have come to pass. So it's not just about the Bible, but it's also about your mantra may not be a Bible verse. Your mantra may be something that keeps you moving. Keeps you moving. I've seen the faithful, available, teachable is a mantra that you would go with, and every day you're like, am I faithful to my work? Am I faithful to my team? Am I available to them? Am I teachable? I mean, like I said, someone below you could teach you something. Am I teachable? That is a mantra. I'm currently reading life lessons from the monk who sold his Ferrari. And you find yourself, these are things you have even been practicing. Every day I wake up at 4:30, either to be on bed and wait for the day to break, or to read a book. But one of the life lessons from the monk who sold his Ferrari is wake up early. Wake up early. You will find yourself doing something. Exactly. I've also read something, spend a day without your watch. The whole of yesterday I never had my watch, but I would keep asking myself. You get it? So it's something that also comes into you. As a leader, where is your team? Are you still on the goals? Are you still on the strategy? You get it? So that is something that we need to put in ourselves and understand. And Phil, just like that, you've given us a complete... I speak 7 languages. Oh, you do? Yeah, I do. I speak English, I speak Wolof, which is a Senegalese language.
You hinted on it.
Yeah, I do. They greet as Nangadef.
Oh.
So I speak Runyankore, I speak Lusoga, I speak Lusoga, I speak what? So many. Swahili, I do speak Swahili.
Do you speak Spanish?
I don't speak Spanish. I don't think I'm that romantic. Thank you. Thank you.
It's been an honor, Phillip, honestly. Yeah. I don't know if there's anybody who has a question for us on our socials. Those of you who've been online on our spaces, if you have any question, please, this is the time. You have 1 minute. We need to let Phillip go to another show. Yeah. He's told you has become, you know, one of those sought after people lately. So he needs to run away. So I can, yeah, no questions.
But I'll always be available.
Oh, yes, certainly. Certainly he's available. Yeah. Check him out on his socials and reach out, and also know that Fidelis Leadership Institute is taking the cohort for this year on August 5th. So if you need to get in touch with Fidelis Leadership Institute, because you need to enjoy this Fidelis Fat Leadership Fellowship. It's the best thing that can happen to you. Personal branding, identifying your purpose, public speaking, cultivating great financial habits, entrepreneurship, among several others. And you'll never regret what sat in for the Fat Fellowship. All right, thank you so much, Phil, for your time. Welcome. And those of you who've been watching on Smart 24, we'll catch you again next Thursday, same time for the Fat Talks. We come your way every other Thursday. So once again, see you next time, and thank you. God bless you.